Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be showing you 3 DIYs that I did using mostly Dollar Tree items. So let's go ahead and get into it. For the first DIY, I picked up 3 different size books from Dollar Tree. I will also be using a couple different colors of paint and some brown wax. You can also use stain or just some brown paint if you want to. I didn't end up using the twine, but you can use that to wrap your books with. You will need a glue gun, a paintbrush, and then I also had a couple different styles of burlap ribbon that I will be using as well. So I started off by painting the books. I painted 2 gray and 1 white. They all took about 3 coats of paint to cover up the colors of the books completely. Once that was dry, I started adding the burlap to the books. I used a different burlap ribbon for each book, and I would really recommend using a different kind of glue. I didn't want to use hot glue because I know how it bleeds through burlap and leaves those dark, ugly spots through it. But I didn't have anything else besides Mod Podge, which was not working at all, so I had to use the hot glue. Then, this is optional, I went along the edges of my books with the brown wax to kind of make them look a little bit old and worn. And then I added a little bit more lace detail to a couple of the books just to give it a little something extra. And then I tied it off with this lace ribbon I had from Dollar Tree. Again, if you don't use the hot glue, you won't have that seeping through the burlap, but still I think they turned out super cute. For the next DIY, I'm using this wooden charger from Target Dollar Spot, this potpourri from Dollar Tree, as well as some cotton balls, and then this stencil that I got in a stencil pack from Joann. The wooden charger I got from Target Dollar Spot, I had already stained it with a dark walnut, so it was a lighter bare wood color. And then I'm just going back through with a paintbrush and filling in the gaps. Then I'm going to make some cotton balls like I did in my farmhouse truck decor video. I'm just using these little pieces from the potpourri and gluing cotton around the edges of them to make them look like the stems of a cotton ball. The easiest way I found to make these is to cut the cotton balls in half and use 3 halves and 3 of the little stem-like pieces and glue them all together, and I think that it creates really cute little cotton balls. And then I'm gonna take some of this leftover greenery that I had, and I'm just gonna glue it all around the edge of the charger. You can use whatever kind of floral you want to use for this, flowers, greenery, whatever you want to use. Then I'm just going to glue 3 of the little cotton balls onto the bottom and put a little bit more of the leaves down there just to cover up the top where I glued the cotton balls so you can't see all that glue there. Then I just added a hanger on the back and hung it up, and that was it for this one. This one was super easy to do. For the last DIY, I used one of these tower block games from Dollar Tree, some scissors, a glue gun, some brown wax. You can use stain, brown paint, or whatever color you want to paint your wood blocks. Then I used some Mod Podge, a brush, and some black paint or a painter's marker. Actually ended up using both. And then I had 2 of these blank greeting cards from Dollar Tree as well. Then I just made a couple of these pictures on the Fonto app and printed them out, and that's what I'll be using for this project. So I started off by measuring how many blocks I need to go across the bottom edge of the greeting cards, which is 5 blocks. So I'm going to make 2 rows of 5 blocks and glue those together, and then I'm going to have 3 single blocks on their own, and I'm going to go ahead and stain all of those with the brown wax. Then I'm going to Mod Podge the 2 greeting cards together facing each other so that the white parts are facing outwards. And then I'm going to take my pictures and I'm going to cut them down to size. Once that's done, I'm going to Mod Podge them onto each side of the greeting cards, and then I'm going to Mod Podge over the top of those. Then once all of that's dry, I'm going to try to give this that kind of enamel look, so I'm going to take my paint marker and I'm just going to go along all the edges on both sides with it, and I'm not trying to be perfectly straight because that's not what the enamel look is. So this is very forgiving if you are a bit of a shaky, messy writer like I am. So I actually ended up getting quite a bit of smudge marks on here from the paint getting onto my fingers and me touching it all over. So I just took a dry brush and I dry brushed some black paint streaks all along both sides of this picture. And I actually think that it looks a lot better than it did before I added the dry brushing to it. So that was a happy little mistake that I made. So to finish this off, I'm just gluing the picture to one of the 5 sets of blocks, and then I'm going to glue the other set of 5 blocks on top of it. I was so concerned with matching up the sides of the blocks that I didn't pay attention to the bottom at first. Luckily, I was able to move it around a little bit so that it lined up with the bottom more, but when I first stood this up after gluing it, it was leaning quite a bit, so just be careful with that. And then I'm going to take the separate wood pieces and glue them on the bottom in the opposite direction so that this can stand up on its own. And then I did have to go back and gently bend in certain spots to make this picture straight because the Mod Podge does tend to bend the greeting cards just a little bit. So you want to be gentle when you're bending this, because if you go too fast or too much, then the Mod Podge will separate and your paper will come apart from the greeting card. So this one was super easy and super cheap, and this one turned out to be my favorite because I am putting a lot more of the enamel stuff in my kitchen, and this matches so perfectly with it, and I'm so happy with the way this picture came out. I really do think that it looks so cute, and it doesn't look like 2 greeting cards glued together. So if you liked what you saw in this video, please give it a thumbs up for me. I would really appreciate it, and subscribe to my channel. I have more budget-friendly DIYs on the way, and you won't want to miss them. Thanks for watching, guys.